Join us for a driving review of the VW Ateon Shooting Brake, today as R line. Let's go! In the front, the new Ateon facelift, both for the new shooting brake, but also for the standard sedan version, which is now called Gran Turismo. So here in the front has been changed, updated with the lamps, LED signature here, wider than before. And then also you have this middle light strip that looks really fancy. It will not be present for the hybrid models because there you also have the charging port in the front, but all other models do get it. R-Line badge here, and the R-Line also features a sportier lower bumper here in the contrasting design. And wow, from the front, a very sensual and sporty design, definitely. Here this additional lip that was also here before. The fastback variant, by the way, also available on the US market. And then here you can see LED is standard. And optional, this car also has it as an adaptive LED that also, swings in the corners and also has, some adaptive function for the high beam. The Matrix LED, however, not available yet for the Ateon. The length is at 4.86 m, 15'9" or 191 inches. And the wheelbase of the Ateon is 5 centimeters or 2 inches longer than the one of the Passat. Here you can see the new shooting brake design with this roofline that is carried all over the place here. And although it's in estate form, a very strong shoulder part here, so this makes this side profile also very beautiful. Chrome around the windows right here, this being the R line with the badge, and also this chrome lower bumper. 20-inch wheels here today, they are an option. They would be standard for the true R model, the new Ateon R. Usually 18-inch wheels would be standard for this R line. But again, we have the most massive wheels here, 20-inch for today. And in the rear, we see the very central design here of the shooting brake. It's very special and also nice how this kind of wing is integrated then in the rear hatch. Horizontally drawn tail lamps with a very modern LED signature inside. And being the R line here, we have a sporty design in the lower part right here, also with the black contrast. However, Autogefuel fake exhaust police, definitely here in the lower part, pure fake exhaust. So yeah, from the distance is a good sport design, but then closer, not sure if that's really necessary. As for engines, here we still have gas struts. Nice to see that. Yeah, we know the Golf 8 doesn't have that anymore. In some markets, you still get the base engine, the 1.5 TSI. In Germany, however, it already starts here with the 2-liter TSI turbo petrol engine, either with 190 horsepower or here today with 280 horsepower and then automatic all-wheel drive. So this is already a very strong engine. Even stronger would be the new true Ateon R with 320 horsepower then, but the same engine block. This one then, however, the R gets a torque vectoring system at the rear, so you can have more torque at one wheel, so you get, better push out of the corner. Very interesting. Today the R line with the second strongest engine, and at a later stage then the true R model also for you. Other than that, there's also the 2-liter TDI with 150 or 200 horsepower, then with all-wheel drive. Or then there's new e-hybrid, the plug-in hybrid 1.4 TSI, mated then to electric motor, and this will also be very interesting, for example, if you have some governmental subsidies, for example, or if you can recharge frequently. These seats here are the so-called top sport seats. and also with the R logo, but they are not base for the R line. And they are also only available as animal skins, so you should not go for these. They are also then hotter in summertime and colder in wintertime. Usually the Arteon R line would come with microfiber seat, then the seat also without the integrated head restraint. And this is also better as for the climate comfort. A base Arteon would come with a base fabric seat that is surface-wise actually the best. The one with the microfiber looks the coolest. Then here the seating position is actually still quite good. The spots here with the integrated head restraint are from the seating form, also quite decent. Interesting is that with a base Arteon, you still get the manual buttons. And as for this, I would recommend to go with the base version. You save money and also have, just proper buttons. Here it looks cooler and also illuminated, but as I said, yeah, it's hard to control this here for the screen on the right side, and on the left side you control cruise control, but you get nuts while doing that while driving. Almost same thing is with the climate unit. A base Arteon would still come with a manual climate unit with these knobs. Here now the higher trims. In Europe, Elegance or R-Line here today. In US, it's called SE and SEL, or then on top the R-Line. In higher trims, you get this one here. This is this new capacitive climate unit. You can slide like this, or you can press. And I mean, for a capacitive climate unit, it is still fairly easy to control. So that's more or less okay, because the touch area is quite big. The temperature indicator is quite big, so it's okay. Left side would be 11.7-inch digital instruments. Only digital instruments anymore, no analog left. Here on the right side you have this gesture function, but it's pretty much useless, always faster just to do it like this. Here it starts with an 8-inch screen, and you still then have two knobs, left and right, one for the volume, right side then for zooming in and out of the GPS, for example. This here is the optional 9.2-inch screen with no buttons left, and once again, the higher trim, it looks fancier, it is bigger, but with the base 8-inch screen, which would be standard, easier to control, and also the software inside is somewhat easier and more basic. Then you can change the view. This is of course one of the best things. Here, map all over the place. You see, the more map we see, the more it flickers, but again, just on camera. This is actually a nice view we have here, and then we can also zoom in and out of the map with the buttons at the steering wheel, or just have this view or this, and also the consumption figures and so on, or also the assistance system. So you're really quite flexible with what you have here. And let's take a look at the GPS in detail. And this new software here, since like 1 or 2 years, to me a little bit more complicated. Here you can directly click your recent addresses, but you can see here it could be a little bit more responsive. Let's take a seat. Indeed, here with this optional sport seat, it's a little bit more voluminous here. So you could have a little bit more legroom even, but I mean, plenty of legroom left. That's really cool. And here the shooting brake gives you a little bit more flexibility as for the headroom. So even for tall people in the rear, again, when we say 6 or 6.1, still leaves some headroom right there. Even though we have the panoramic roof. Boot volume 580 to 1630 liters. A little bit more here with the shooting brake, of course, than with the new Gran Turismo now named. Here, just press it, clean solution with rails right there, and you see massive cargo area. That's 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour, so pretty impressive. The official figure, we have to see how that one worked out. Official figure is 5.6 seconds, and that's 0.5 seconds slower than the true Arteon R will be. So this one, again, already very powerful in the same base engine block, and even if we are already at speed 60 to 100, that's it, and actually quite nice engine sound. So here, the 280 horsepower engine together with the R-Line design is the closest one to the true Arteon R, and this really drives very well. So a good performance. Also here, as I said, wet roads, so the all-wheel drive brought it very well to the ground. In this harsh accelerations, really a lot of power is transported to the rear. A maximum of 50-50 is physically possible. not more than that actually. Steering wheel is actually quite nice as a grip here in the R line, and also quite direct and also precise. So I like that here. I don't have to steer that much, and I have very good feeling and control over the steering. The DCC dynamic chassis control, the adaptive suspension in the sports mode is a little bit stiffer, but at the same time, even if we are in the stiff mode, it gives us a very, very good comfort indeed. So it's not that in the sports mode it's too stiff overall. When we pick it here and go to the normal mode, it's a little bit softer as for suspension. You also hear that the engine is more silent. Good noise insulation, by the way. You heard it also when we were at 100 kilometers or 60 miles. Really silent on the interior. Have seen the dual insulating windows right there. And even here in the city, it's not a short car, but since it's so easy to handle, you don't need much force, you know, in the steering. It's really such an easy drive. Now the all-wheel drive, front wheel biased, but what happens when I accelerate out here from standstill? Nice. And again, 100 kilometers an hour. Wow, that's pretty fancy. And have you seen the steering wheel, how straight it was kept? I mean, there's no like special differential lock for this vehicle or so, but although it's front wheel biased, so much power was transported to the rear wheels that I get very good grip. I mean, still wet road, but there was no slip, you know, whatsoever. And I didn't have like this typical front wheel biased, you know, the steering wheel pulls me in a direction or so with understeering. So there, everything is ruled and, you know, enough is ruled to the rear axle that they don't have this effect. So again, what a flawless acceleration out of a corner while having a wet road. As for the fuel economy, I'll also do a reset right now, because so far we had some, a lot of acceleration and so on. This of course gives you, a bad fuel economy. So we're more like about 12 liters now, but a more realistic figure for this engine here. I mean, it's the engine we've been driving on and on and on and on so many times, and that would be around like 8 liters on 100 kilometers, or about 30 mpg if you drive it in a rather calm way. And now to our conclusion for today with the VW Arteon shooting brake. First of all, in general, the facelift for the Arteon is very interesting with the front changes, definitely light changes, so definitely fresher look. On the interior, more infotainment, more digitalization. Yet at the same time, the new infotainment system that VW is offering at the moment, this is more complicated menu-wise, and they're also slower than before. They definitely need to fix that very important issue. In general, a very comfortable ride here as well. Long wheelbase, and also good with the adaptive suspension, especially should also go with that one. The shooting brake offers you more flexibility in the rear trunk, so just a little bit more versatile, although the standard Arteon, which is now called Gran Turismo, has this big hatch opening that is almost fastback-alike. This is still very practical, yes, but this one a little bit more, and it's also the question of design. And as we read your feedback, some of you definitely prefer even the shooting brake version here, and indeed very positive feedback also from our initial review that this one here, voted by the community, the Arteon shooting brake is now one of the most beautiful Volkswagen vehicles. So design-wise, I think really a hit. Really, a lot of design pleasure, so to speak, and also usable car and actually a very comfortable ride. So these are the most important aspects about the Arteon. Yet again, I think downside is definitely now the infotainment system. And what else? As for the engines, the R line here that we had today, together with the powerful TSI, this is the one that comes close to the true R. Of course, the true Arteon R, then also newly available, will present to you here on our channel at a later stage. This one then will also get the torque vectoring in the rear. Very powerful and good system we've already tested in the Tiguan R. So this will give a even sportier punch than this one we had here today. So looking forward to your feedback to the new Arteon shooting brake. Also tune into more color and trim. We also link the relevant videos in the video description. See you there.